the scene. Class vs. Crass. The mastermind of this operation is Jason Lapine. Class vs. Crass. With the help of his scruffy buddy, 85 to the RGT. Class vs. Crass.
Good evening, all you beautiful people, and welcome to the Class vs. Crass Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Hey Jay. Joining me, not as usual, we've got Greg coming back straight from L of A. How you doing, Greg?
Hello.
For those of you joining us for the first time, Greg is not usually the co-host. We usually have RGT85 with us, but he's out being social tonight. He's got himself a social life, which is, it's healthy. It's good for him. So he won't be joining us tonight, so we're going to have to wait a week to fight about our E3 thoughts. But a lot of good things to talk about this week. Of course, E3 is now behind us. We're going to change up a bit the format of the show because there are 300 games to talk about from last week. And as much as I would love to do a love it like a hater or meh for all of them, I don't think my sanity or your sanity could probably take that.
Someone said that beard McGillicuddy.
That beard, I don't know, McGillicuddy. I like that though. So it's better than massive STDs that you usually go by.
I did a bunch of videos with Brett Medlock from Nintendo Enthusiast, and the comments, people were calling me Muscle Brett. So I was like, what the hell?
Muscle Brett with a beard. But Brett, sorry, not Brett. Greg was at the show floor. So for all of those who were watching E3 on this channel this past week, I was streaming the conferences, but Greg was actually there in person. He got to see how empty the show floor was and how... Anyways, I'm sure there's a lot of fun stories because I haven't talked to you at all since before E3. So I'm looking forward to hearing how this year is going. And I actually don't even know if the show floor was empty or not. I'm just assuming it is because this was kind of a rough year for E3, wasn't it? So I'm sorry. I'm going to let you talk because just setting the floor here, there's so much I want to talk to you about. You've been going to E3 for like 10 years, right?
Yeah, this was my 10th year this year.
10th year. Okay, so the first thing I want to know is... how did it compare? Because the everything before E3, everyone was saying the show was dying. PlayStation isn't there, EA's not there, Activision wasn't there, and even on the show floor map, you could see that they were like filling things up with like these fake booths. And I even saw people taking a lot of pictures of like booths with like chairs and stuff. So, in your opinion, how did it feel there?
I mean, yeah, there was a lot of space that wasn't filled, like. And everything was set up kind of weird. Last year they did a great job accommodating both press and, the people that were just regular attendees, gamer passes that were going to the show. It's really hard to judge because at the same time you had games that, everybody else watching the streams and press conferences that were going on. You had games, the majority of which are coming out in 2020. Mm-hmm. So, they didn't really have much to talk about even in that aspect. I did feel a little bit sad that EA Play was only on a Saturday and Sunday because it
wasn't through the week.
No, and see that was a little bit different for me because I would have made my way over there at some point, and I didn't even get the theater presentation for Jedi Fallen Order. It just I just had realized it as the show was going on. I was like, it was Sunday and we were midway through the day, and I was like, I am not going to EA Play at all, it looks like. But areas like Bethesda too, just on the backside of the booth, like the press check-in was on the side facing the restrooms, and there was like some empty booth space back there. But if you looked at like the crowd that was waiting to get in the show, it was the same, kind of loaded up crowd to get in. But it was really refreshing having, again, that press period where you go to the show floor and you can actually freely move around and make it to your appointments and make sure you're getting to whatever you scheduled on time, and didn't have to wade through a crowd of people to get there. So
sorry about that, guys. Oh shit, the audio. That's my bad. It's not Greg's mic low. The audio was adjusted for the streams. I hope you guys heard Greg. I'm so sorry about that. Sorry, Greg. I had your
That's
audio
all
down
good.
low. Just want to do a shout out to Ethan. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. I'm bored. Here's $5 so you can survive in your third world country, Jay. I appreciate that, Ethan. Thank you. It's rough here. Fighting it off in our economy of free healthcare. So, I was never really afraid, like concerned of the attendance being low. It was really more so like the presence of the booths, I guess, like the E3 show organizers having troubles filling their show floor. I think that's more what I was wondering about.
Yeah, I did like the fact that there was a lot more people. You had like the What's Good Games doing their meet and greet on the GameSpot stage, and you had some of this. Yeah, I did see like a lot of like meetups and things like that. So that was kind of cool to see other people step forward to fill that space, especially with so many fans going. That was a positive in that aspect. But a lot of the stuff, too, I don't think a lot of companies were ready to show stuff on the floor because the meetings that I had, even though a lot had booth space, were up in like them. So E3 is set up between the South and the West Hall for those who don't know. And then above that, there's these small meeting rooms that you can go to. And before, that's usually where the investor talks happen and people are meeting with businesses. But there was a lot more press oriented meetings going on up there than usual. I mean, the majority of my meetings were practically up there besides Bandai Namco.
So we're gonna get into into your stories of like any kind of like I really want to hear about the after parties, about what it was like there with any kind of like side stories you might have that are also appropriate to talk about here on the screen. But let's just kind of go sequentially through everything and just talk about the presentation.
I don't even know.
You don't even know. So like, well, okay.
My week was like
it just all
right,
meshed.
yeah, right from the get go. I mean, Brett and I, so Eric Sweeney, Brett Medlock, John,
All
and
Nintendo
myself.
enthusiast people.
Right, we directly from the airport. Eric grabbed us, and we immediately went to. I can't remember even when we went to the air.
Wow, you were drunk from the airport, eh?
No, I wish I was. Jeez. I can't remember if we went straight to the room first to drop off all our stuff.
The boom
But
room.
our first stop was to the Xbox press conference, and my God, was it hot out there! So we
you
were
didn't
all
have
waiting
umbrellas
to get
this
in,
time?
but I cannot tell you, that was probably like the best moment. I'm sure for a lot of people seeing Keanu Reeves come out on stage, but I mean, I'm getting chills right now. The crowd in there was just insane.
Yeah.
Like it was, everybody went wild. Like you couldn't help but stand on your feet and just
So
cheer.
everyone stood up right away.
Oh my God, yeah. And then like outside of, I felt like they had, I mean, nothing that really, blew my socks off, but it was still a very meaty presentation in terms of games. And one thing I will say that it was kind of disappointing trying to avoid spoilers and not being able to, because you can't mute stuff on like I wouldn't mute E3 on Twitter, but a lot of things like Elden Ring, what's the other one, the 4-player co-op Blood Edge.
Yes, the one from Ninja Theory.
Yeah,
Bleeding Edge or something. No.
Yeah, Bleeding Edge, I think that's what it was. But it sucks because that was some of the stuff that leaked beforehand, and then we saw it during the press conference. And I guarantee you, everybody in the room would have been a lot more hype had that not be the case.
Yeah, for sure. It was I mean, Xbox is kind of where I start as well, but let's just get it out of the way. Let's talk about EA real quick. What were your thoughts on that? What were your thoughts on EA? Like there was, we had 2 sports games. Hang on, we got 6 games that were at EA. Only one that I cared about, which was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. But I know you're a big Apex fan, and there was Apex focus. So I'm interested to hear what you thought about that, or anything from EA that caught your eye.
Yeah, and I was somewhat covering the EA press conference as it happened. I did a few pieces. I mean, like, I'm never been a Madden fan. I'm only remotely a football fan, believe it or not. But and that's the other thing, Apex Legends. So Watson was leaked after a data miner like 2 days prior to the conference.
So
Like
lame.
I had just happened to come across a video they were talking about. They had gameplay and they were talking about the leaks and stuff, and then they pull her picture up on screen, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of a letdown. But I am excited. I was actually just playing before this to roll into season 2, and my activity in playing the game hasn't slowed down, but I tell you, I was so surprised to see Jedi Fallen Order have its tie-ins to Rogue One. That was like the best piece to it. Like I couldn't have
Oh
asked
yeah,
for
yeah, with that character that I don't know.
Saw Gerrera.
The dude that's like an echo of Darth Vader, basically, has the breathing mask and tube in Rogue One. That guy?
No, this was one of
Oh,
the supporting characters that was played by Forrest Whitaker.
okay, I don't recognize the name. Are we not talking about the dude who was the leader of the mercenary camp in Rogue One? That guy? Or is there another tie-in?
Well, this was the one that I was.
Wait, what's his
We
name?
might be talking about the same people.
Maybe I'll just look it up. Who'd you say?
Someone in the chat, help!
What'd you say? Who? What's his name?
Forrest Whitaker. It was Saw Gerrera. Is his character?
Forrest Whitaker. Forrest Whitaker. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're talking about the same guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
just
nice surprise.
yeah, it was. I thought that was great, and I 100% trust in Respawn's ability to create this game and to make a linear action platformer that ties into the Star Wars story. And I dug what they did with the combat and the variety and how you use the Force and those types of things. So I'm actually pretty hyped for that game in particular. I mean, I have a list going of games that I'm going to get for sure now, but that was one of them that kind of stuck out in my mind.
I find I really like what they're doing with the combat, but what I saw, I mean, it's alpha, right? It's alpha gameplay right now, but it looks very like just go from A to B and do the thing and repeat like it. And I think a lot of people were saying that it was just lacking that hook or something to really. But again, it's alpha, so there's a lot that could change. I do like that it's third person. I like the combat. It has a very good like foundation. They just got to build.
And I think they're playing it very safe, maybe design wise as well, just to show that hey, like we can pump out a game that has a Star Wars tie-in that is what every other game from EA didn't fulfill. And I mean, it could be like the case with the Force Unleashed. I didn't think there was going to be a Force Unleashed 2, and lo and behold, it did happen. And I think they're Respawn's playing it pretty safe in order to. I mean, the product's going to move units, period, just because it's something outside of Battlefront. So
yeah. And you said you didn't get to play it, right? Because it was only Saturday and Sunday that it was playable, right?
yeah, and it was I believe it was a theater presentation. I don't know if there was something separate for press, but I did have press access to that, and that was disappointing because it was once we were done with Microsoft, we literally like beat cheeks out of there and headed over. Yeah, beat butt cheeks, ran.
Oh wow.
Chevrolets made our way over to the Bethesda press conference.
Right, and we're going to get to that in a minute. Just a quick thank you to Respawn, Josh, for the $2 donation, and the Happy Father's Day, Jason. Thank you very much, Josh, for that. And Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and especially those of you sitting with us tonight.
I made a mental note to say that to you the first thing we got on.
You didn't do it.
Well, Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Do I wish it to you? I'm not sure.
Just the dog father over here.
Oh, okay. Happy Wiener. Happy Wiener Dad Day. He has a wiener dog, by the way. Right? You do, right?
Yeah, but you could say that to me any day of the week. You know what I mean?
Whoa. Okay. Xbox conference. What's one of your highlights from that?
I wish they would have showed more of Halo Infinite. I was a little disappointed at that. I'm really intrigued because I made a comment beforehand about Xbox tackling hardware and their tie-in to streaming. And I said something in order to offload some of the the hardware need for processing to fulfill the claims that they made during the conference.
Hmm.
They were probably going to have some sort of combination of having some of the server side handle a lot of uh, game processing, in order to reach those levels like 8K, 60 FPS, or what do they say, 120 FPS.
120. Yeah, I actually
Yeah,
forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. They were talking about streaming, but you can either use their server or your own console
yeah,
as like the engine behind it, or a
yeah.
combination of both, I would assume.
Yeah, and I'm guessing they're gonna have kind of a hybrid model where they can offload some of that hardware taxing stuff, like ray trace. Well, probably not ray tracing. That'll be geared towards the well, could I don't know. I don't. I'm so a little too complicated for me.
Yeah,
But
you can do
you
crazy
know,
stuff with tech. So
yeah, and so I thought that was a really interesting aspect. I mean, there were I can't remember what. No, yeah, Ghostwire wasn't. That was only the Bethesda conference, right?
Ghostwire was, you know what? Let's just blend all of Sunday. So we had the Devolver Digital and the Bethesda. Ghostwire is the one that all the people disappearing, basically the Thanos
Yeah.
game in Tokyo.
Call me a
Presented.
shill, but
Oh, there you
uh,
go. Did you get to meet what's her name? I forget her name, but the girl that everybody fell in love with.
yeah, the creative director. I
Yes.
did. I took a picture of her or with her, and
Uh,
it's on Instagram.
was she
Uh,
as Unforgiven would say, as waifu as her on stage appearance?
she was so nice.
Yeah.
She didn't. She had a translator with her, so she probably didn't understand anything I was saying, but
We're
she
just
was
like, pleased to
so.
meet you.
Yeah, I was like, hi, but she was so freaking nice.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, she made her way around the crowd at
Oh,
Bethesda and
that's
like
awesome.
talked to a lot of people, and that was just really cool to see. Especially a lot of people didn't know about her, me included, about her track record with gaming and working on titles like Bayonetta and those types of things. So I thought it was really refreshing to kind of bring the whole conference and everything, even though it was at the beginning, just kind of back to center, and like people realize like these are people making these games, and sometimes we just disregard that and shame them. But we have someone like this who has worked hard for years and is bringing their expertise to a new IP. And granted, we don't know much about it, but I mean, I found it intriguing.
Hmm. Well, you're into those more like creepy, atmospheric kind of games,
I
usually, aren't
dig.
you? Yeah. We got Battletoads, which was a game I forgot, and I'm still not sure if I should care about. Honest, so we got the art reveal, and I don't know. I wasn't too. I'm not like a big Battletoad fan to begin with, but I was really surprised at what we got out of it. Like they're playing very safe with it. I find, they gave it an art update, which is fine. They have the bike scenes again, which I don't recall anyone saying I wish we could play that bike level in Battletoads again. So I'm kind of surprised. I felt that they had an opportunity to kind of take it a notch above, but they're playing it really safe here, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Uh,
But that was something I was talking to you about a little bit. So we ended up meeting the development team behind Battletoads, and just it was interesting just to meet them, and they had no idea when their trailer was going to go on
where did you
during
meet
the
the Battletoad
presentation
guys again?
at a karaoke bar. So
Was
that
so
so the
tell me about this karaoke. Okay, so I know backstory. Last year, I was in charge of booking the enthusiast team's hotel rooms, and we were last minute, so we all ended up in Little Tokyo in one of the probably dingingest. I don't even know the word.
dingiest.
Dingiest spots possible. But hey, it was cheap. It was two people per room. There was no air conditioning, and there was one washroom per floor. It was
Yeah,
very homey. I felt at home, honestly.
very hostile,
Not
not like
hostile, but
hostile,
hostile. Yeah,
hostile.
but it was cozy. I liked it, and there was a lot of good restaurants around. And across the street, behind like all these buildings, there was this
Oh my God, the
really
ramen places around there are
they were
amazing.
really good. There was some weirdos outside, but you can't help that in LA. But yeah, across the street from this place, around some buildings, like within like a cluster of buildings, there was this little karaoke place on the top of a second floor. Again, super cozy, super like Tiny, we ended up spending what 3-4 nights there last year, singing our hearts out and making memories.
Nights turn to mornings.
There you go. So that's the backstory. So now fast forward to 2019. Greg goes back to LA.
We go and try to reignite this magic that we had there. So Brett actually got a couple pictures. So I don't know if you remember this, but the karaoke machine that they have running there is a Wii U.
Wasn't it a Wii? No, it was a Wii U. You're right.
Wii U,
Yes.
yeah. It's a wireless thing, and it's an actual app, I guess, that was released in Japan. But it has, I mean, there's tons of songs. They have like videos that have nothing to do with the music.
That's just your typical Japanese karaoke, though.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it's a very like hole in the wall place, but it's so much fun. And we brought a lot of the new guys there. That's the one thing that I wish we would have gone back and done more of it, because I actually, one of my good friends, DJ Knight, went there one night and we totally missed him because we were doing other stuff and had someone get sick in the car. And
but what happened? You said you went back to reignite the spark, but it sounds like
it was just the bartender there remembered us too. She's
nice.
like, "Oh yeah, the Canadian guys," and I was like, "Yeah." And
you're not Canadian though, but okay.
I'm not from California. Back up. But no, it was still, I still had that vibe. And so this group of people were singing in there, and turns out they were the Battletoads developer. And we had a pretty lengthy conversation.
Wait. How does that even come up? How do you find out these are the guys working on Battletoads? You're just like, these look like Battletoad dudes.
So we step outside and he's like, "Oh, are you guys here for the show, mate?" "Oh, okay, yeah. So I don't know if you saw, but we had a trailer go up in the show. Yeah. Battletoads, yeah, that was us." I was like, "Cool." And we were just like, "Whoa."
Fangirling.
But the majority of the conversation is completely off the record, so I can't say really much else other than that. But they were the nicest, most humble people. And, one of the things that I did bring up to them was like, I don't know if you remember playing or if you played or remember Double Dragon Neon.
No.
Yeah. And so that was like a phenomenal game. It was, revisit back to the Double Dragon series. It came out on Xbox 360, and I believe it was done by Way Forward. Excellent art. People were so turned off from it, but it was like one of my favorite games of that year, especially the soundtrack. And, we're so early on that, and don't think that, my opinion on the game is swayed because I got to hang out with some developers. I've been going to this show for 10 years and I've met, so many people, but I really do think that I'm ready, especially because of my, history of playing retro games. And that's one of my favorite things to do. But I'm ready and willing to give it a chance. And I think the art style was appropriate for what the game can be. And, I haven't played any of it, but I'm open to that.
Have you actually played anything from the Bethesda Xbox conferences? Any of the games that were kind of revealed there?
I did play Doom Eternal.
Okay, how's that play? I assume it's just as good as Doom, but better.
It's so freeing to have that kind of mobility. So now you can not just pull yourself up onto a ledge, but you can claw into a ledge and climb.
Any ledge?
I don't know if it's any ledge, but the majority of them had like this metal scaffolding that looked like destroyed like walkway or something. But you can now double dash in the air, and the whole, and then getting the super shotgun with the meat hook was like so cool to see, and some of the secondary fires from weapons. And now, like when you shoot at an enemy, like some of the demons, you can pick off pieces of their
like limbs and stuff.
Yeah, their limbs, machine guns. And so it was just, I didn't think there was going to be another Doom this close to the 2016 launch, but it was so freeing to play in that aspect. And some of I think it was a rocket launcher had sticky grenades that you could fire off, and I don't know, it was just really different.
So is that new secondary weapons to secondary fires to everything?
I think the mods are different.
Okay.
So they have different secondary fire mods. but the meat hook was for sure something that was new, and that was cool to use to bring yourself. It just like changes the way in which you play the game, because the 2016 version kind of stayed true to the series, where it was very, you know, level in how you navigated things, and you weren't going airborne so much. And this just kind of opens everything up to,
Oh.
traversing upwards and outwards. And so I'm ready, and I think Brett Medlock played with me too, and he made a comment. He's like, I didn't even care too much, for Doom when it first released, and he's like, I played on the Switch. He's like, but this actually has me really excited.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, it's a different take on the franchise, even more so now, being that they had one not too long ago. But just again, it just kind of opens everything up.
It sounds like it would be good mechanics for like a Metroid game, Metroid Prime 4,
Yeah,
potentially.
yeah, I could see that.
Oh, that's really cool. Anything else from Xbox? Cyberpunk. Did you get to play Cyberpunk, or do you
I
care
did
about
not.
Cyberpunk? Okay, you don't.
I did not, but I did have an appointment to see an extended demo that I guess is going to be released not at Gamescom but after. And holy my ties, that game looks amazing.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
it's
guessing it
it's
was in
just
4K. Is that what you mean, or just?
so well. Not only that, just so the demo that we actually saw, I kind of chatted with them afterwards, and I was walking away, and she started talking to somebody else. This was the presenter in the private demo, and she's like, "Yeah, RTX was enabled." And I was like, "Come again?" And she's like, "Yeah, ray tracing was on during the demo."
Oh,
And
okay.
I was like, "Yeah." And I haven't really heard too many people talk about that. I think there was only one person that had asked that question when I was around,
Right.
and I heard nothing else about it. So I don't even know if that's widely known.
I just want to, take a moment to explain RTX ray tracing for anyone who's not following or doesn't care. That's a new tech that a lot of people are using kind of as a buzzword, especially for the next gen. AMD has been really pushing it in their graphic cards as of what, last
NVIDIA.
year? Was it Nvidia?
Yeah, and now
Oh,
and
no.
now you're seeing AMD adopt it, and that
Oh, it
was
was
one of
Nvidia that was first. I was good. Okay.
yeah, and that's now one of the things that uh Xbox Scarlet is going to be hopefully adopting, given their
And the PlayStation
uh,
5 as well.
yeah,
So the next
because
consoles are adding it. And ray tracing is basically a better simulation of light bouncing around a room into the lens of the camera, or what you see. All that just to say, it's basically going to make more realistic scenery
yeah.
in a nutshell. But it's very resource intensive
Yeah,
to do that.
which also makes me think that in order for this to be possible on console, that some of that again has to be offloaded to something like xCloud, and then the remainder of, so say you are without an internet and you are without servers and you have to play Boohoo the game in 4K, it
Mhm.
still gives you an opportunity to experience it. And maybe that is a tertiary level to that, where that is a capability. But yeah, the demo was insane. They went more into depth on just how you can approach the world, how you can hack different things. Like there was one scene where you walk into this gym area, and this robot is boxing with this guy, and the den that you're going into is these roided out, huge, muscular dudes, and this robot is boxing with this guy, and they hack the robot, and the robot just splatters this guy's face. And
Oh,
then so we're sneaking around kind of doing this, and the other part, this she's explaining that everything in the world, just about everything, can be hacked. And this guy's on a bench doing some bench workout, and they hack the bench, and it slams down and basically crushes his throat. And we were just like, yes, like this is amazing. And then
jeez.
the hacking wire, so you can plug pulls out of the wrist, and it
Yeah.
like plugs
Oh.
into stuff, and you can hack cameras, and different character abilities
Mhm.
have this trait. And so, but it actually comes out like a what's the wire that Hitman has? The I'm blanking right now, but you can actually, at one part, they use the hacking wire to slice this guy, and his scalp literally like popped off
What?
in the
Oh
scene, and it was just
shit.
like, this is great. There's so many. It's not just like the hand-to-hand combat. It's different abilities and different traits open up different ways to play. And
Jeez.
luckily, because of the build, they were able to swap to between the two character types.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you can stealth take down a guard and throw him down a garbage chute, or find a weak spot on an enemy that was in this exoskeleton. And it was just, and we were in like the smallest sliver of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and to experience all this. And I wrote a piece on this too, but
Over on PCinvasion.com.
I did go check it out. So Keanu Reeves plays a much larger role than what they kind of showed in the his announcement during the Xbox press conference. He's like, so you have this biochip in your head, and he's like kind of a ghost that's helping you along the way.
He's Navi.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey,
or
listen.
like how Master Chief, it keeps seeing visions and Cortana bouncing in and out. It was similar to that.
Mm.
And someone else on the site wrote an article talking about how on PCinvasion.com, how he recorded about 2 weeks of dialogue for his role. And so it's much more expansive than what meets the eye. He's going to be, almost, a secondary main character to the game, because you're trying to discover, why is this biochip important, and why, Johnny Silverhand keeps appearing.
Yeah, that's damn cool. Yeah, more than what that trailer suggested. I just want to address regular dad here who's saying a dude at GameStop. Never listen to a dude at GameStop. I can't get over how freaking ignorant these people are and what they just spew out. They're like, yeah, I work in a video game store. And they're so... Anyways, he says, a dude at GameStop told me Nintendo scrapped Bayonetta 3 and is starting the development over anyone else here. Completely inaccurate. Take it from the people that are tuned into video game news 24. Like, you'd think like we're on a freaking school bus in the 90s, and it's like, oh, my uncle at Nintendo said Bayonetta 3 is well in development.
Yeah, well, what I heard was it's been scrapped, so...
Please, I need that personality on my channel if you ever want to drop that persona. Basically, regular dad here, here's what it is. Bayonetta 3 is still in development. It's gone quiet because this other game, Astral Chain, is coming out at the end of August, which is also being developed by Platinum Games. And it makes no sense for them to showcase both games side by side. Why like Astral Chain's new IP, you're not going to go cannibalize that with something like Bayonetta 3 that's just going to overshadow it. They're also saying Bayonetta 3 is very well into development, and in fact, they're trying something new with the game. It's going to be like a whole new way to play. Nobody knows what that means. No, get out of here. So nobody knows what that means.
It means motion controls.
What they did, what Nintendo did scrap and have to start over again is Metroid Prime 4, which was scrapped about 3-4 months ago is when it was announced. And they're starting that from scratch. So I don't know if this GameStop dude's just crossing his wires, but there's your full story. Where were we? Did you go to the Ubisoft conference?
I did. Let me tell you, Just Dance. Come into the Wii. Still, not the Wii U, the Wii.
How did you enjoy that experience?
It was cool seeing what's his name, John Bernthal, come out on stage with his puppy, Puppy.
Star power, eh?
Yeah, and I really do hope that's not a recurring theme, that they have to bring celebrities out to E3. Granted, they have had them in the past, but I just wasn't interested so much in the Ghost. The siege stuff and kind of that piece to it, the PvP and PvE aspects, but I'm really excited for where Breakpoint's going to go. And so they talked more on Watch Dogs, and I did end up playing Watch Dogs Legion.
That looks really good.
It is insanely good.
Yeah.
From what the short demo that I played.
Have you played the other two?
Only the first one and like a snippet of it, and I was just like, this isn't for me. And then I just started, and this is how excited I am. So I completely missed 1 and 2. Aside from that, I went and bought Watch Dogs 2 because I was so excited about Watch Dogs 3.
Same, I did the same thing.
Yeah, and it's crazy because the third Legion is so much more in depth on how you recruit characters and can build out your team. And playing as Hacker Granny is freaking dope. Like, she can hold her own in a fight, even though her punches are like open-handed slaps.
Oh,
but I was able to. So in the mission that they had us play, I was still able to infiltrate the building, which is
Mhm.
another article that I wrote on PC Invasion. Um, infiltrate the building, hack what I needed to hack. Um, you know, hold my own in combat, and then I jumped out of a two-story building to escape, and then ended up recruiting another person.
Because you died.
But no, I didn't.
Oh,
She lived.
wow.
She maybe broke a hip, but she lived. So, but it's cool because Brett actually. So he was wondering, how they make all these different animations and voices and characters. And so what he discovered, he got to play with the creative director of the game.
Oh, nice.
And the guy I played with actually was at EGLX 3 years ago with a booth
What?
um, in Artist Alley, and he did the in-game assets for Watch Dogs Legion.
Really? Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy. Small
yeah, it
world.
was wild. Yeah, because he saw my E3 name badge and was like, "Oh, that's crazy. I went to your guys' show," and I was like, "Oh." Um, but so the way in which you have a meter when you profile somebody, it says whether they support DedSec, and it goes from red to green.
Mhm.
And so in order to recruit them, you have to build that up to have them in favor of DedSec by doing these smaller missions. But Brett discovered that they modulize each person's voice, and a profile for that person is created once you start to recruit them and approach them. So
Hmm.
it was just crazy how in order to make this possible, they made they developed this system in order to have this
So the
possible at the end of
personality
the
is made
scale.
on the fly, is what you're saying, or?
Yeah, so they generate this, their daily habits, the way they speak, their animations, as soon as they're interacted with. So in essence, they're not necessarily, you're not going to, and that was a concern people had, was you're going to come across the same NPC and it's going to get old, but it's actually created on the spot once you decide to interact with them and profile them.
Oh, so that
So,
prevents them from having a city full of this data that's just sitting there waiting for a player to interact.
right.
Instead, it's just these are all like puppets or substitutes, and as soon as you talk to them, that's when the game's like, all right, it's time to like create a profile for this.
Yes.
Damn, that's so
That's so
smart.
smart, right? And then so you do these tasks in order to gain them, because you'll discover they have different abilities, like 30% less damage or whatever from melee combat. So then you do these things, but in the demo it was sped up. So we gained them as a recruit, and then at that point you can assign them what you want them to be on your team. So like they had in the demo or the trailer, where they were talking about you can build a team of granny hackers. Yeah, you really can. You go and profile them,
Mhm.
recruit them, and then assign them the characteristics that you want. So if you
Oh,
want them to have an additional spider bot, which was one of the reasons why I made it out of that building alive, because I set it up as a turret and it was taking out security guards while I was doing the hacking. But it's just I was just kind of blown away at I hate to just kind of blanket statement that, but it was just insane how much detail was. And again, this was a 30-minute snippet of the game that I was able to play
mhm.
hands on, and it just, I was, on board at that point.
So Kat's asking, are you still able to listen on phone calls and texts, as far as you could
Uh,
tell?
I don't know, because there was, we were on, to hit certain points of the demo so we can get to this certain part after the first little mission area. I feel like you can, just given the fact that like I said, I was playing 2 recently, and how you can stop and have cars accelerate or turn off or whatever. You could do that here.
Hmm.
One of the cool features, though, so if you were to get in a vehicle, you can actually hack it and just send it on autopilot, and it'll drive to the waypoint for you, and you can just kick back and listen to the radio or something in it while it's
Oh,
doing that.
nice. There's one thing I want to get into right now, and I know now we're kind of jumping all over the place. I want to talk about Nintendo, because I know a lot of people here like Nintendo, and then, in my opinion, it was one of the most exciting presentations. And I'm actually going to pull up a certain picture of Greg
Oh my
and
god.
the rest of the team. If you haven't seen it, I've already shared this on Twitter. But basically, this is the Nintendo Enthusiasts team the Nintendo enthusiast team's reaction to Breath of the Wild being revealed. Sorry, let me just get this. This picture is priceless. I love it. I love it. So you've got, of course, Greg. Just your jaw literally dropped. And then, of course, you got Brett screaming like a little kid there, just pointing at the screen. Honestly, I don't know all the guys in the back row. I guess those are all new writers.
Yeah,
There's new
so in the
writers.
back far right, that's Miguel, and then to his left is Danny, and then to his left is Art, and then on the far left is our copy editor John, and then that's Ben
Yeah.
from Gamenesia right there, and then in the front next to Brett is Eric.
I just love how everybody has a freaking emotion. Like you got fist bumps,
Yeah. And
pointing.
so many people said this was like, that's a fake reaction. This was scripted. We were literally recording the entire thing while Eric's laptop was up on the TV.
Yeah.
And so we're watching as it happened. And it was crazy. Nintendo hands down won the presentations.
Mm-hmm.
Like and you know, it wasn't just the mere fact of the games that they announced, like, you know, all the Dragon Quest stuff, and then the other JRPGs that were coming from Japan into the West. It was because they showed gameplay. They showed, you know,
Yes, that was
reasons
so
to be
refreshing.
excited about.
Yeah. It wasn't just CG. Did you find it was very CGI heavy this year? E3? Like, oh my
I
God.
did. And you could start to tell that as soon as we got out of Bethesda. It was like, you know, almost the majority of the stuff that we had seen at that point was heavy on the CGI.
Yeah, which is a little concerning. You know, a lot of people are saying, well, this is kind of a gap year as everybody's getting ready for the next gen with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet. And that, if that is true, it might very well be. It kind of left the door open for Nintendo to just be like, all right, guys, let's just like take the show.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I feel like it was even more sparse than usual, and the fact that Sony was not present. I think it'll be, you know, business as usual next year with everything finally coming to fruition, even though a lot of stuff is releasing March of 2020.
Yeah.
That was another big theme, that games we're just going to get dumped on in terms of titles come March. So
There's still, though, a lot of things. I remember a lot of titles coming out in November. Like September, November is going to be pretty heavy this year, especially just Nintendo. Nintendo stuff, a lot of it is coming out this year. You know, in September, we have Link's Awakening. End of August, you have Astral Chain. You have Dragon Quest 11 also in September. I just remember a lot of stuff coming out around that time.
yeah,
Did you get to go to the Nintendo booth?
I did.
How was that?
So
What did you get to play there?
I played Link's Awakening.
Okay, so how'd that compare?
First they had this like huge sectioned diorama set up where they had, you know, the sharing the same art style from the game. They had this set up in multiple places, different enemies and Link and those types of things. I will, you know, state that the build that we played. So there was one point I was like hacking through the grass and kind of exploring a little bit, and there were some frame rate drops,
Oof.
but the overall art style and just the design of the game, it was very, very close to what they showed on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's more polish to be had, and someone else brought this up, that it was a very one-to-one transition from the original in terms of where puzzles are and things like that. In this you know, remaster of it,
Yeah.
I don't know what
Speaking
you
of
would
remasters,
really
you just
call it.
made me remember Final Fantasy VII, which is something else we need to talk about.
Yeah, but I did like it. You know, it was very cool to have some hands-on time with it, and I just can't get over how much I love that style and how they. I don't know. I'm like, that's one of my you know, must buys for when it releases.
I'm just a bit like I don't remember that game necessarily being that long, so that's my one
Yeah,
concern. I mean,
I
they did
played
add
it.
the whole dungeon builder thing, which might add some a bit of time to it, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
and I just started because the last time I played it, I was a kid on the original Game Boy,
Yeah.
and I don't really remember much of it. But I actually a couple months ago started playing it again off and on. Pick it up while I'm laying on the couch. I have it plugged into my Game Boy Advance SP,
Hmm.
so I'll finish that up because I feel like I'm going to be ready to jump back into it, even if it is. I mean, there's people that go back and play. Uh, all the Zelda games, at least once a year or whatever,
Why
they,
do they have time?
yeah. Well, when you get it down to memorization, I guess it's not too hard.
Like, I don't think there's a single game out there I know by heart. Like, a lot of people, like, if I play old games, for example, like Castlevania or something, some people like have played these games so much they just know everything. Like you say, muscle memory. It's just muscle memory to
Uh,
them. I'm a little jealous of that.
yeah. Mine was a Mystic Ninja
Mystic. Why does that sound so familiar?
with Goemon,
Was that on the Nintendo
SNES.
64 or the Super Nintendo version?
Yeah, and then I believe they did a 64 version, but I played that game, Sunset Riders. That was another one. It was just, I could sit there and play through the whole thing in one sitting.
Hmm. Um, Anything else from the Nintendo booth you got to,
Got to play Luigi's Mansion 3.
which looks phenomenal, honestly.
Yeah, it really is too. Um, so the biggest takeaway from that was just how much you can do in a single level, and that's something that I've always, in a single little room that you enter, you're um, you know shooting out a plunger and sucking it back up to pull, there was these large barrels, pull the door off the barrels, and they had hidden stuff in there.
Hmm.
um, there was portions where you would use Guiji to stand in front of a fan that you blew into while it lowered the little elevator that Luigi was actually standing on.
Hmm.
And so, like, when you switch between the two characters, um, the other one looks like they like drop their head and go to sleep. But just there's so much to do in a single room, and that's the thing that I enjoyed most is that it's a really creative way to play the game, and doing things like the slam was really cool and fun to use. The one thing that was so weird was, so there's rats that are like running around the stage
Yeah.
or running around the area that you're in, and when you use the suction to suck up one of the rats, their fur like goes everywhere, and it was so weird because you're practically killing.
Oh, geez.
But just seeing, using the flashlight to stun a ghost and then sucking them up, and then just the hidden items all throughout the stages. There's different color swords and keys you can collect that are fills up there's a little bar that has each one that you can collect.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
I
It's a bit of a
and the
collectathon then.
it, yeah, and this one I felt was further along polish wise than Link's Awakening. So
Hmm.
I don't know if that says anything, but it was just really cool to see those features within it.
Was Astral Chain there by any chance?
If it was, I did not play it.
Ah, damn.
Yeah,
I'm
we
really
had a demo
curious.
station that had like 6 games on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that one because in this one they really showed how, like, I didn't think that you could use the chain to attack and stuff, but I don't know if you saw the trailer. Like, it looks like the chain is very integral to the fighting mechanics. Where, like,
Mhm.
you'll fight as the cop, then you'll fight as whatever the enemy, but then you can also like use the chain to like launch people and stuff. It just looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm like excited for that game. And there was one point I think during that presentation where it like turned into a bow, and I was just like, oh, wow, that's different.
And
And
which
like,
game? Sorry,
just, huh?
which game was that?
That was Astral Chain.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was like I remember it being like very quick that transitioned within the trailer, but I was like, hell yeah, this is coming along just how I thought it
Hmm.
would be, and what I was anticipating. So that's another game that I definitely want to buy.
Did you get a chance to play Final Fantasy VII? Was there
I
a
did
demo for
not.
that?
I believe there was a demo of that.
I mean, it looks phenomenal. I don't know if you were a fan of the original or not, but it
I
looks
was
like this
not.
is all. You didn't play the original?
No, but I mean, I get the hype around it. I played the original for a little bit because anything that's like stat intensive or role playing, heavy on the role playing, my brain is just like
I
I'm too
find
dumb for
I find
that.
this one's pretty tame. Like it was one of my early RPGs, and so far everything I'm seeing come out for the remake, it looks like a team that understands and cares about the players, the fans, and
Mhm.
it really feels like a love letter. Like so far everything has been crafted in a very it looks very good.
Yeah.
Um, unlike Avengers, which looks like total shit.
So I did transitioning to I did play Ultimate Alliance 3,
That
and
one also looks kind of meh to me.
I I I was like, yeah, it looks, there weren't as many enemies as I thought there was going to be on screen, and I was really excited for what Square Enix was going to reveal for Avengers, and it kind of disappointed me.
The Avengers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like a very uncanny valley feeling from their faces, and just I thought they were going to show gameplay. I thought it was going to be more, and I was just disappointed. But I wrote an article that went live today on Nintendo Enthusiasts, talking about why I'm more excited for Ultimate Alliance, and it was so crazy. Like we were playing the demo. I was Deadpool, someone else was Venom, and someone else was Thor, and I forget who the other person was. But during the demo, Jessica Jones appears and
Oh
has a
yeah.
little dialogue, and then as we played more, Iron Fist comes out, and Iron Fist was wearing his like traditional comic book suit,
Right.
and that was one of the things that I think I enjoyed most, was that you have these characters that wear these sometimes brightly colored outfits, and they're staying very true to that. And like the ultimate abilities where all four players can do this crazy over the top ultimate and basically kill every enemy on screen. It was great, and it was like went off without a hitch during the demo. And
Is it really like the like I get that they're getting that part down right, but the combat just looks very just repetitive or very
yeah,
weak.
it's that beat 'em up style, that very Ultimate Alliance. But you have your heavy attack and you have your light attack,
Mm.
and outside of that, you have these different abilities. Like Deadpool has this one where he throws confetti in the air and puts his hands up, and then grenades drop out. And
Ah.
I was like, that's like the cool feature that I wanted to have. Something that, this is a game that's not taking itself too seriously, and it's still staying within the parameters of the source material. And it's more than what I expected. And now I'm like way more excited for Ultimate Alliance 3 than I ever could be for
Hmm.
um, Avengers. And I think this is the reason why, I think, is mostly due to the fact that this is something that I can play with my girlfriend.
Hmm.
This is something that I can enjoy by myself, and I'm familiar with it because I did play the first and second one. I think I had the first one on the Wii.
So it's a pretty easy like pick up and play for all skill levels kind of game.
Yes, very much so.
Oh well, that's attractive. That's something my son would probably enjoy playing then,
I
because one
will
of the
say it does get chaotic with four people on screen.
yeah.
There's like it, but I really dug the art style and everything that they're trying to do with it, and I walked away like, man, I'm really excited, and I could tell myself that Link's Awakening and um, Ultimate Alliance 3 are definites on my list.
Very good. So just before we get to some last topics, let's start the lighting round. So if anybody has questions, topics they want to ask Greg or me, anything, um, shoot them out now and we'll cover them. In the meantime, any other game that we didn't cover that you really wanted to kind of showcase, or any story or
I
anecdote?
saw somebody mention Dragon Ball Z in the chat.
Oh yes, did you see? I want to bring that up.
I did play Kakarot.
Yeah, I saw there was some gameplay. IGN released an exclusive gameplay the other day.
Yeah,
So you played it though. So how was it?
I did. Uh, I, it comes back to the same conversation. Like, how many times have we seen this Frieza story arc be told, and Raditz and
Never
everything?
enough. The answer is
And
never enough.
recently, so I never watched, Dragon Ball, the original series, but, I started to become familiar with the characters, and to see some of those in this story, even though they weren't there in Dragon Ball Z,
Hmm.
was kind of cool. The other piece to it was you can fly around on Nimbus and go talk to all these people and do these side quests. And in the demo, you could do that a little bit and then go to Raditz, or you can go straight to Raditz. And so I kind of, tinkered around. I killed a dinosaur, which was cool.
And what did that
Um,
give you?
but on the way to Raditz, I was flying there, and there was random encounters, and I thought that was really interesting the way they incorporated that into this role playing action game,
Hmm.
to have those as you make your way around the world and do these small battles.
Do you see the random encounters, or is it just like bam, battle
No,
mode?
well, and I don't know if that'll change, but in this case, it was you're flying around, and all of a sudden you enter into
Oh, okay.
battle.
And what kind of like what are you fighting? That's because in the Saiyan saga, there was no like it's always you go and you fight the boss essentially, Raditz, Vegeta, Frieza,
Right.
so on. So
And I did not know who these enemies were. That's
oh,
my my
what
downfall
did they
to
look
this.
like?
I mean, they looked familiar.
Oh shit.
And I'm very had watched the Dragon Ball Z cartoon, because it was on Cartoon Network, and the whole Toonami thing, and at least I was familiar to that aspect. But um, I did I it was more than I expected, and also not what I expected, but it was the right mix of action RPG elements that would get me excited to play it.
Could you? I know in the gameplay IGN showed there was also Piccolo. Were you able to play as like? Can you switch characters, or do you always just fight and play everything as Goku?
So I think I'm not sure if you could swap, or if that's going to be a thing.
Hmm.
But I did write again another article on PC Invasion. You can go read some of my thoughts on that. But you can actually, I believe it was the right bumper, um, hold down the right bumper during battle, and it'll bring up two moves that Piccolo could use. So instead of letting him fight freely against Raditz and do damage on his own, you can select some of the moves out of his move set that he can do. And
Oh,
there was two at the time, and there was, I believe, two others that were darkened out. But you can basically tell him what to do while you were flying around and trying
like
to
self-target special beam cannon
yeah, yeah.
on self. All right, a few questions coming in, and also if you have been watching this whole time, would appreciate a like. Make sure to drop a like on the video. Would appreciate that. But first question goes to Trown's Realm. Did you get to play Panzer Dragoon remake for Switch? Was it good?
That I did not.
I don't think there was a demo out.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Possibly
That was a nice surprise though during the showcase.
out of left field. Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Next question is more of a comment from Respawn Josh. I hope Breath of the Wild sequel takes an extra long time just to make Nintendo push on a Skyward Sword remaster for the Switch. It looks like I saw some news come out about Skyward Sword, and it sounds like Anuma's saying it is near impossible to remake that game without motion controls.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
About with motion controls, or the fact that it's not coming back?
If they made it with motion controls, I would not have a problem
Oh,
playing it.
I'm in the same boat as you. Who won E3? Square, Nintendo, Doggo, Bethesda Lady?
Bethesda Lady for sure.
Nintendo.
Spooky.
Spooky. Yeah, Nintendo. DBZ Fighter is too overrated and lame for me, says Sonic Sega. My wallet lost the Nintendo Direct E3. Agreed, regular dad.
Very much
The
so.
wallet always loses, and it's always the last presentation. So you're like, oh, I like that. Like, you look at all the other conferences and you're like, I like this, I like this. You're making your list of things. Then Nintendo's just like, give me all your money.
Yeah.
Did you get to play the near final Bloodstain Ritual of the Night for Switch? Was that there?
I think that might have been on Nintendo's show floor. I did not.
Witcher 3 on Switch. That we didn't talk about that. That was a crazy surprise, eh?
Yeah, and especially because I saw who was it? They did a hardware. They tried to take the base hardware that they had. It might have been Game Explain, and kind of mimic what The Witcher 3 might look like on the Switch, and they still had it chugging.
Hmm.
So I'm interested to see how well it performs, given that other people, even in that aspect, were taking the similar hardware and trying to replicate what it could possibly look like. And so I was very surprised to see that.
Yeah, I think Digital Foundry has a video out on it.
That might be
A very
who did
small
it.
one. Yeah. So, and it sounds like in handheld mode, it's going to be at, I think they said five. It was a very weird
540p.
number. It was, sorry?
I think it was 540p.
Yeah, that sounds right. 540p in handheld, which is more than enough when you have a screen that size. And then on the big screen, it's 720.
Yeah.
But they're also scaling back a lot of the details. So if you put like the PlayStation 4 version right next to the Switch version, you're getting a lot less detail in in your grass, your trees, and all that, and even your light. The light effects are less, but I mean, you can play the game, you can enjoy the story. So
Which is crazy because if you look back, or if you've ever played The Witcher 1 on PC, I mean, it's very more so leans into the RPG aspect, and the world is very barren, um, in terms of like just depth.
mhm.
But I mean, I think that's a fair, um, take, having removing some of those features and some of those hardware taxing qualities of the game in order for it to be pulled off on the Switch, which I think is remarkable in and of itself. That this is, it even struggles on my PC,
Right.
in 1080p. Well, it did before, so um, that was a nice surprise. I think, for people to enjoy that.
All right, next question. What was the biggest surprise at E3 for you both? For myself, Banjo Kazooie. I really did not think that would ever happen.
I'd probably have to agree with you.
Yeah. Next, we have.
And that troll was perfect.
It was.
Troll
It's a
during the
nice
trailer
touch.
was perfect.
Any indie game you saw on the show floor that you feel needs to be on people's radar?
I did play that one that was, it was shown during the Kind of Funny Games uh, showcase, where it was like you're, I think you were like a hamster or something on a boat, and it was like Tony Hawk, and I ended up playing
Sounds
it
like a
at
dream.
yeah at the Indie Mixer, and it was actually really fun, and it was very, very much so in that same Tony Hawk vein, and it was, the color palette for the game was exceptional, and the music, and it was just kind of a fun thing to pick up and play and enjoy for what it was. And I ended up speaking to the developer about it a little bit, and he was just so passionate about his what they had created, and just seeing that and him talk about it, and listening to fans talk about the game. Another one was kind of um, uh, like a top-down shooter. It was called Cat Lady, and I think it was made by a single developer. And she, kind of talked about her game, and I just thought the art and the facial animations, and the art direction were exceptional. And I'm really hoping that it releases on a lot of platforms, because it looks like it could be a lot of fun. It's like a top-down shooter.
Oh, pretty cool. Are they using N64 animations of Banjo Kazoo?
I think somebody said
Don't
that
think
it
so.
was that model that they were
Versus what the Xbox 360? They're definitely not doing that.
yeah,
Yeah, that's not happening.
nuts and bolts.
Gotta wonder, says Santiago, what's the next quote unquote taxing game that's impossible to be put on Switch? Cyberpunk. Watch that.
Probably. Yeah. Impossible.
Yeah. It's encouraging, though, to see a company, because it does take effort and the will to want to bring your game to the Switch. And the fact that, they even bothered to attempt that is a fantastic sign, showing that, the Switch's demographic is enticing enough for developers to put that effort to do it. So it'll be interesting to see if more follow after that. Was it called Skatebird? That game you were talking about?
I think so, yeah. No. That was a different one.
Okay.
That was like the pigeon or whatever on a skateboard with pencil ramps and stuff.
Oh yeah, that looked good too.
It was like a jet ski, and it
Was
man, that's gonna bother me now.
did you get to try the new Contra, or was that not there?
I believe John from the team played it, and he really dug it.
Really? Because it didn't
Yeah.
look that good, but I'm glad it plays well.
And you must understand. So,
What are we understanding here?
you know, I it's E3 is a tough beast to cover in and of itself, just because there's so much going on. You're going to appointments. I really tried. There were so many games like, um, Contra and everything at the Indiecade booths that I wanted to play, but then it was like, oh, gotta go. I'm late for this Cyberpunk meeting, or I'm supposed to be over here to Bandai Namco, and I'm supposed to. And so I it kind of sucks, that you miss so much stuff, not having as much free time as you would like. But I did manage to play some of the beefier titles that I wanted to play, especially because I was covering, for a PC site. But I think Brett and I made like 7 or 8 videos together. We did interview the some of the team behind the Elder Scrolls, the Blades coming to Switch. So that was
And all
cool.
these videos are going up on Nintendo Enthusiasts' YouTube channel?
Yep,
Very cool.
a lot of them are up already.
Okay, including the reaction video of that picture I showed.
Of course.
Has over 100,000 views.
Yeah.
Let me see if I missed any of your last questions. It doesn't look like it is.
And so I saw someone's question about the whole game being on the single cart.
Yeah.
That's the one question we wanted to know, if CD Projekt Red was doing the port. And every time we went back to talk to them about it, there's like another person filing in line to gush over Cyberpunk.
Damn.
So
All right.
misstops.
All right, we're going to be wrapping it up, though, for today. One thing I do want to point out before we start talking about what we're doing this week is I'll be launching a new food channel called Hey Jay Eats, and I'm going to drop the link in chat. There's nothing right there. It's just kind of set up. But if you want to follow me in my food adventures, it's going to be basically a channel dedicated to me tasting different kinds of foods. There was a video that went up on the channel about a month ago where I tried some Japanese snacks. So that's the kind of video you can expect over there. It's not going to be staying on this channel. I'm looking at uploading about 3 videos within the next week or 2. So if you're interested in that, check that out. But for Greg, if anybody wants to see more, you're writing more of your thoughts, where can they get some of that? And is there anything coming down this week that we should look forward to?
Not since that Avengers Ultimate Alliance 3 came out. I have one more game that I want to do a little bit on. Moons of Madness is like that atmospheric. Yeah, you're on this like space station, and the power is going out, and you have these trippy visions that are coming. And I had to cut my demo short because I had to be at another appointment, but that's one I want to at least try and cover this next week. But you can find me on Twitter at enthusiast_Greg, or on Instagram. You can see my picture with Felicia Day because I got to meet her outside the.
Was she at karaoke too?
What's that?
Was she at the karaoke bar as well?
She was not. I don't think she would be caught dead in there. But she was super nice, and just really, she was open to take pictures. And it was cool because no one else was around. And I had a couple with the creative director, and also What's Good Games. They sat out and chatted with us. Andrew, Renee, Steimer, and Britt outside of the Bethesda press conference. They were very cool too. But yeah, on Instagram at enthusiast_Greg. And then my work is on PC Invasion as well as Nintendo Enthusiasts. I drop in there every so often.
Very cool. And over here on Hey Jay, you can look forward to your Indie Corner tomorrow. I'm a little behind on it. I feel I say that every week, so I really hope I can get it up tomorrow. If not, though, guaranteed tomorrow 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The Indie Corner stream is where I pick a game that came out in the last week and I stream it for you guys. Now, today I already did Cadence of Hyrule, and I think it's a really good game. Plays very well. It's about a 6 to 7 hour playthrough. So I won't be playing that for sure tomorrow. I might go back to Crypt of the Necro Dancer, or I might just download something new because there was a lot of good stuff that came out. Then
I just started Cadence as well too.
You just what?
Just started Cadence of Hyrule.
Oh yeah, there's a bit of a learning curve, so stick to it. It's hard at first, but once you get into it, it's really rewarding. And there's a lot to explore. And then usually on Wednesday, there's something that comes out. I don't know yet what it is. It's probably going to be a food video this time on the Hey Jay Eats. And then Hey Jay News is back next Saturday. So look out for that. All right. We'll see you next week. And until then, keep it classy, or as I almost said Sean, or as Greg would say.
I'll say mildly crassy.
Mildly crassy. All right. Have a good night, everyone, and a good week. Where's the end? Here it is.